where the music don't stop.
I love this station.
88.2 Sanyu FM. Today's best music.
Chris Brown, Lil Wayne with Loyal on 88.2 Sanyu FM. It's the hit selector. I am Crystal, and I'm very, very, very happy to introduce my guest right now, seasoned news anchor and head of news department at NTV Uganda. That's MAURICE Mugisha. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
You have never invited me here before.
Well, it's about time, don't you think?
Yes, and
welcome to
nobody
CELEB
told me there's always a party here. I should be here more often. This is the beginning.
You'll be coming back again very soon.
Yes, of course.
So, Mars, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
We wanted to know a little bit more about you. And
Yes.
as we always do on Celeb Select, I want you to take me back to where it started, where you were running around. I don't know if there were diapers back then, so maybe
No
running
diapers.
around free
Nappies.
and happy.
You remember the nappies, the
Yeah,
white?
but there was a thing about fresh air.
Yeah. Especially, it depends on where you were. I have a very humble background.
Tell us.
I'm fortunate to have like a double, birthplace, or personality, because I was raised majorly in the West,
Okay.
but I was born in Ginger. Was there for about 7 years before we moved to Kabale.
So you were born in Ginger
I speak
until
both
you were
Lusoga,
7,
yes.
and then you moved to
Yeah, so I
Kabale.
speak Lusoga and I speak Runyankole. I'm happy to be a good local linguist. So yes, born in Ginger, went to pre-primary in Ginger, Victorian Isle, then did my primary later, of course, when I left Victorian Isle, went to Kabale, and then I went to St. Margaret, a very strict Catholic school, but beautiful school, that probably grounded me to who I am, because by P4 I was in boarding school, so I literally was managing Mugisha, So
From an early age.
Yes, a very early age, and it's because my mother was a banker. And at that time, bankers were transferred. So she was working in Ginger, then transferred to Kabale. And in the process, because she wanted me to get a good education, she was told of this very strict Catholic school that had very good foundation for children. And so I went there, and I've never regretted any single bit of my boarding school in primary school. I would never take my kids to boarding, trust me. But I loved every inch.
I find that very interesting. There are other people who went to boarding, when they were really young, are like, no, I will never do that to my kids. My mum is the same way.
The thing is, it was painful in a good way.
Okay.
I have daughters, so I don't know whether I would want the girls to go through the same. The difference, though, is that now let's go to the issue of walking around naked. The issue then is that in Kabale at about 6 a.m. It's freezing cold. And you had to shower cold water because that's the only option you have. But I mean, I don't do warm water. I don't do hot water in the bathroom. I'm still used to the same old stuff. So
you know what?
Yes, it doesn't matter the weather.
I'm the same. I actually don't use hot water.
But you are not raised in Kabale.
No, but
so
I prefer cold water.
it is good for your skin. I mean, and they ask, why do you have a good skin?
Now you know the secret.
These ladies. Yeah, so it was very humble background. Literally, very private home. We're very private. You don't hear a lot about our family because we rather to keep it private.
I have noticed that in most of the interviews we don't hear very much.
Yes, my dad is somebody who said, "Listen, guys, we've managed to do what we can with a meager, earnings, and we are happy you guys went through school. You've achieved all this stuff, but we are a humble family. We'll always be the same. My dad is in Ginger. He has a beautiful home there. He's happy. Soon retired from civil service, went into private work, and my mother long retired from banking, seated in Kabale, soon to become a farmer. So they're both very happy but very private people.
Very private.
Yeah, and
people.
that's literally who I was. So I mean, from Kabale I then went back to Ginger. Interesting for my secondary school. So I went to Muri, another place that grounded me because you are about 8 kilometers out of Ginger. If you must get out of school, then you must trek down the hill. I wasn't planning. I wasn't planning to do that. And yeah, so Ginger and Kabale have a very special place in my life. Yeah.
What about siblings?
We are very many.
How many?
I have 3 brothers and 4 sisters. So 4 is my number. And everyone.
You haven't gone and had also your good 8. What's happening?
Well, times have changed. Life happened.
I know.
I mean, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how these guys did it. Because everyone is done with school now. Everyone is done with uni.
Are your siblings all in
Everyone,
Uganda?
yeah, and we're all here. Well, one has just been transferred by the World Bank to West Africa. So everyone is here. And my other sister is doing interior designing. She works in the region, Tanzania, Kigali, and here.
Is there anyone else in the media?
My sister Sheila did mass comm. The only person who did real journalism in school, but she's in the World Bank, and she decided, well, I'll do communications in the World
That's
Bank.
a funny thing. That happens a lot with the media. The people who do study journalism end up somewhere else, and
And
then
my
people who
dad-
did law and
Interesting. My dad is a medical doctor. None of us turned out to do medicine. Sadly, I
There
think
you
he's
go.
sitting at home and saying, "Where am I living this?" This mini hospital too, because he has a medical facility in Iganga, and he must be thinking, if any of my children had taken this up, this would be theirs.
Yes.
But no one is interested.
But I think times have also changed. There
Yes.
was a time when you would pass the business down to your children, but now you have to groom someone else to keep it going. So I'm going to ask you for your first request right
Yes.
now. You gave me a couple of songs, and you asked for APAS and Lillian Mbabazi, Memories.
Yes, I think that's a good song. I listen. I rarely listen to a lot of Ugandan music, but most of the time, if I'm on the move in the car, that's when I get to listen to radio. At the office is very hard, so I picked this because it's a good song, and I like it because when I go to the club, it's one of my dance songs.
Hey, I'd like to see that. Here it is, Memories. Uni, tell me a bit about that.
Uni was fun. Uni was really fun. I must say, there's one story that has stuck with me for some time. The Christo story. So I had, and let me put this straight so that you get the real story. My roommate, who is actually the Honorable Chivejinje's son, was in SMAC, and you happened to have sosh with them. And he then came and told us a story when we just met. He was my roommate in first year, and he said, there's only one natural catwalker in life, and she's called Christo Newman. I said, really? I would love to meet her. He said, by the way, she's here. She's here at university. We're in the same year. And I said, I would love to see her one day. And so one day it happened that I got to see you. I think we were walking with him from somewhere. And he said, there she goes, there. And you were walking to your hall.
For the record,
And you were taking, it was like the perfect catwalk, from Nkrumah all the way. You have to go to Stone and then go down.
Maurice,
So
Maurice,
I need to tell this story. Let me tell the story. So you did your thing and we stood there. And I said, okay, guy, you're right. So I won't leak his name so they don't hound him. But I told him, it's perfect. And
That's you, huh?
and naturally, I've got to see it myself. I've got to see you later on stage and worked with you. So I know uni was fun. Uni was really fun.
We're supposed to be talking about you.
Yes.
Dude, come on.
I went to uni to do business administration. The year we joined, 98, that was the first year all BBS students actually had been turned to Nakawa. So MUBS had been opened and was now affiliated to Makerere University, but was taking on all the business courses. So we were meant to stay in Nakawa. But somehow my auntie who was working at the university said, no, Nakawa doesn't have good accommodation. So let him stay at the main university. He can always take a taxi to Nakawa.
What?
So
you were
every day, for 3 years, I literally was doing the distance every day.
That's kinda
and I had
crazy.
evening classes, so it was cool.
Okay, so you were chilling at Makerere
during the
University
day, I
all
was
day.
chilling and trying to know the corners of the university and maybe check out some ladies. You never know.
Thank you.
I'm joking. Yeah, but it was fun. So we're about 3 or 4 guys who did that. So we had our own group. And so we would do the distance every evening. There was there was one person who stayed at the hostel just below Nkrumah. So it was easy to come back from Nakawa. But it was really nice. Expensive, but really cool.
It must have been
We had-
the back and forth.
We had great friends. My lifetime friends were all at university. My best man I met at university. And one of the songs you later play has a connection to that. So uni was good.
Okay.
The best part about it was our first year. So, campus night was, I think, Thursday. Was Wednesday first, then they turned it to Thursday.
Then I think now it's Tuesday.
Well, I don't know. I don't even care. And then, Angenois, which is governor now, used to be a thing. So we used to go there every Thursday. So there was this guy. There would be bad days when you don't have the money to go. And so you're listening to Sanyu at 11, and it's good music. and then it was Sanyu Radio, and it's good music. And, something just says, guys, it's campus night. We can't just be chilling here. And we don't have a dime, So there was this guy, we knew he always had money, and he was one of our roommates in the next room. So we always run to him every time we were broke and said, boss, just give us some money. First of all, interest was free. So you're looking for drinks and transport.
Yes.
So we asked him for some money, and he gave us. So he had a black book. Every time we asked for money, he would bring it out and say, so how much do you want this time?
Were you expected to pay back?
We always paid back, trust me.
Okay.
But the good thing is that he was so conservative. He brought this book, it was black, and he used a red pen and wrote Moses and Mugisha, 10,000 shillings. It was a lot of money that time. Borrowed on this day. Sign here. It was cool.
What would we do without people like that? Huh?
I can tell you for a fact, if we didn't have guys like that, I don't think campus would have been fun. Every campus night had its own type of crowd. It was cool. It was the only way you associated. You're kind of put in a certain class. Oh, this is the guy you find at campus. And then we had our favorite ladies who'd come, and we knew they could dance. So every time you went there, you're saying, oh, the lady with the black dimple or something, the dimpled lady, or the lady with the black spot somewhere. And so we'd be chilling and watch these girls dance. It was really fun.
So you have a lot of good
our favorite
memories from back
DJs.
then.
We have all these DJs still playing music, but it was really, really fun.
Really good days. You should see the smile on his face right now. I'm guessing there were some really good memories at that
Very
time.
good. Yeah.
So you went into news, and you've been
Yes.
in news for a really long time. How did you start being a news anchor?
13 years, yeah, it's a long time. Let me just say I fell into news.
How does anyone fall into news?
It just happened. So we had one of my sister's parties, grad parties, and there's this guy, he's a friend of my sister, and he at that time had been working at WBS for about 3 years. So it's called Archie. So he says, after the party, because I was part of the people hosting the party, we had friends, and so we had a good evening. So everyone left, we all left, and Monday, this was Saturday, Monday he calls me and says, Maurice, just thinking, are you interested in TV? I said, well, no, I've thought of radio. I've never thought of TV. Why? And he said, just thinking, I heard you speak on Saturday. I'm thinking, let's just try this. It may not work. It may work. I think if you're around, where are you? I said, I'm in Kampala now, but I'm on my way to Kampala. He said, no. If you're around, just come in tomorrow, Tuesday. Come in, do a screen thing. Just come. We'll see what to do with you. And if it works, you take it. If it doesn't, just
try
let
it
it go.
out.
Just. And so I walk into WBS the next day. This young guy, very excited, just left university. Never thought of TV. I had at university, Ronnie Sempanji was a good friend, and he was in Nkrumah and had thought of doing radio at some stage. So DJ Ronnie was a friend. So I kind of wanted to do radio. So I walk into WBS and I'm totally clueless on what they expect me to do. And so I'm given a script and I'm told, do your thing. Just read. And so something came to mind. I remember in primary school around P5 or 6, I had a history teacher. She used to ask us to read in front of class.
Okay.
And she kind of gave me my first insight into anchoring, maybe. Because she said, listen, if you're reading to your class, don't read and look into your book the whole time. Read and pretend you must, the guys in front of you need to see your eyes. So read a couple of words and try and cram the next 3 words, because you should be able to see them. Look up and say those words, go back to your line. Just make sure you don't miss your
Wow,
lines.
that is actually the groundwork for anchoring right there.
And so it was amazing. I went back later, of course, and told her. So I do my thing. I didn't know how I did. So they say, okay, we'll call you. So I walk out, and that was Tuesday. Well, cut the story short. The next Monday I was asked, please come in and do sport. That was 1st March 2003. So I walk in and do my sports thing for like 2 weeks. I have no contract. I have nothing. It's fun. My dad was still, we have a home here in Kampala. My dad was literally still paying my allowances. I had no problems with money. So so it was fun for me. I'm on TV. I think I'm doing well. I remember my dad giving me my first notes on how to speak in public. It's a book I still have, public speaking. So he offered this book, and I took it. To date, I think it had some good insights. And so And
that's how it
the
all
story,
started.
yeah.
Well,
So
we're going to get
3
back
years,
to that.
yeah.
We'll get back to that in a bit. But right now, I'll ask you for your second request. You asked for a Kofi Olomide song.
Because around the time we were at university, Lingala was a big thing. And I remember in club, every time they wanted everyone off the floor, they would play Lingala.
That was always at the end of the night.
Yes. And so you literally were being chased out of the club. And so Olomide became a favorite. Recently, then he does this beautiful song, and it's so catchy.
Selfie from Kofi Olomide. Yet another request from my guest on Celeb Select today, Maurice Mugisha. We were talking about how you just fell into news anchoring.
Yep.
At WBS back in the day. So you first did it for like 2 weeks. You were having fun.
Yeah, no contract, and it's cool. I think about 2 weeks later, the general manager calls me and says, "Okay, listen, this is how it's done." And he was really cool. He was Kenyan, and he'd done this, I think, for some time. So he says, "Listen, you're doing it well, but I think you need to pick up a couple of things here and there." And I thought these were good, notes to take home. And 2 weeks later, just before the 1st of April, I had a contract. And that was the beginning. I mean, I honestly...
some people are thinking, lucky guy, right?
I mean, well, it's... You have to work for it. Because I actually literally had to do some homework the moment I got it on how I could actually keep the job. We give a lot of people an opportunity, even at NTV, whether it's internship. 50% keep the job, and it's not because we need them, but it's because they have the talent. So I think I just grabbed the opportunity, and it stuck with me.
What do you think are the key skills like a potential news anchor should have?
Well, things have changed since then. Honestly, then you needed to have a good voice, you needed to look good, you needed to probably know how to read English or Uganda, depending on which language you're doing. And some relatively good background on local politics or Ugandan politics. These days it's different. What are we looking
What's different
for?
now?
There's a lot of people who can do all I've mentioned right now. You must be multi-skilled. So you must be very good on social media. So you must be very active on social media. We must have at least senior capacity and abilities in reporting. So you must have a skill in reporting, whether it's for online news or for the traditional conservative news, I mean, print or radio. So you must have that skill. And then you also have to have the other things I've mentioned. So there is sometimes an X factor, and everyone asks me, what's that X factor? It's something we can't define.
You never know until you actually find it.
I mean, for example, I'll tell you, Nancy walked into NTV one day and got the job the next day. It's just something about some people. When they walk into the room in which they're meant to be, then you discover they should have been here a long time ago. And this is the right place they should be.
And also, I think with news, someone has to have a certain air of authority.
Yes.
You can't be doing news and someone's like, yeah. You have to be believable, but you also have to have be really authoritative as well.
So it comes with confidence, even when you don't know anything. I keep telling people, journalists are the type of people who know something about everything.
Yes.
And so we're not experts at anything, but we know something about everything, which is okay. So, but we are if I meet you and I'm supposed to interview you about, nuclear technology, I'll probably want to sound like a nuclear technology professor. So I'll ask the hard questions, but half the time I'll have read this stuff in the last few minutes.
You're like... Well, that brings me to your next request right about now. You asked for Tamia's song, So Into You. What is it about the song? There's a story to the song.
Yes, this Tamia song, it has a lot of connection with Radio Sanyo again. Because at that time, 98, I think that's when it just came out. Tamia had just released this song. I think it probably was number one on the countdown, which was ended a short while ago. And so my friend Moses loved this song to bits. And it became like an anthem in Nkrumah where we were staying. We were on an annex just next to Nkrumah. And it used to be like our thing. So every time they played it, we'd all get out of bed. It didn't matter what time it was in the night, we'd get up and start dancing in the corridor. And so one time I called in. The only one time I think I've called into a radio station. And I talked to, I can't remember who was doing the show. It was an afternoon show, either Jackie or something. I can't remember. It's a really long time ago. And I asked for this song. And she said, we have so many requests, but I'll see what I can do. And well, a couple of minutes later, she played the song. So it stuck with us.
This is such a beautiful, classy song. We love it. So Into You from Tamia. And I played that one for you.
And Moses,
Maurice.
who called in? Surprising. I
Who
just
remembers
didn't think,
them days?
Yeah, I just didn't think he was listening, and so Moses called in, and I didn't tell him. I was going to do
There
this.
you go.
Yeah, it's only
Maurice
my wife
Mugisha
who knows
here
of
with me
me.
right now on Celeb Select. And speaking of your wife,
Yes.
how long have you been married?
Well, we celebrated 10 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, just about 7 days ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Now, you are a celebrity couple. I mean, in that you were
if you
both...
say so.
I think
we're just a normal
for very many
family.
years, you were both anchoring. How did you meet?
Well, again, thanks to WBS. Yeah. The thing is, before I joined WBS, and this is a story we've told her, is that I used to watch a lot of TV, and one of the reasons was to see her on TV. So when I joined WBS, she was one of the people I wanted to meet.
Wow.
And never did I know this would happen. So yeah, our first meeting was the usual. Hi, how are you? Are you the new guy? Yeah, I'm the new guy. Okay. So you've seen me? Okay. Well, the next, I tried to buy some time. It was a lift, 3 floors up. You try and buy the time, to make as
To
much.
use whatever opportunity
Yes,
you
to
get.
make as much conversation as you can. And so I did, and I think I was lucky to get a phone number. And so I asked out for tea. I said, someday we should have tea or dinner or something. She said, well, yes, someday. Yeah. Well, that day never came.
Okay.
So the only one time, the real, I would probably say the day we really sat and talked was, we go, and WBS was fun because we used to have these these monthly parties. So there was a monthly party at Silk. And so I went there and found she wasn't there. It was one of my first parties. And so I'm thinking, how come she's not here? They tell me she's one of the fun people at these functions. So where is she? So I pick up the phone and say, by the way, there's a staff party. Did you know? And she's like, no, I didn't. Because they were so common. I mean,
there were so many of them. Huh?
Not many people would always remember. So she said, no, I didn't. You mean it's there? I said, yeah. I've just got here. Are you coming? She said, yes, let me come. Let me get my friends and come. So an hour later, she came with her friends. And I think she says that because I had invited her to our staff party, she needed to reward me by dancing with me, and
and she was like, let me spend some time.
She owed
with
me
this
that.
guy.
Yeah, she owed me that. So we did spend quite some time at that party, and well, the rest is history.
In one of the
3 years
interviews-
later, we got married. Yeah.
In one of the interviews she's done, she mentioned that she's older than you.
Yes.
And she talked about that.
Yes.
And then, of course, working together and dating in the workplace. How did that pan out?
Let me just say this, and people probably will be wondering, how was it like working in the same building? I was a part-timer at WBS, so, and she was the very principled woman. She does an 8 to 5 p.m. job, never mind that it's broadcast, which is 24 hours. She always had her work delivered by 5 p.m. and she would leave, and I always walked in at 7 p.m. So we never met at the office. If we were to meet, it either was because it's a party or an event. Yeah, we must be at the same, in the same place. That's how, I joined WBS in March. I could only start dating her in September. So it took that long to even meet her, So yes, it was a little professional at work. Later, of course, when we started dating officially and the media were blowing it all out of proportion, it became tougher. So it meant, you had to take a certain strong, bold line of, we'll appear in public places together, we'll send a strong statement out there that we are committed to this thing, and voila, we're 10 years
I like
married.
that you talked about that, because nearly most functions you attend,
Yes.
she is by your side.
She has to be.
She has to be.
Yes, she's-
Okay, so who decided this?
Oh, it's very uncomfortable if I'm in a public place and I'm alone, and then I'm sure what the media would have picked up is anybody who's next to me will become my date.
And
So
that's
I am
the
happy
tabloid
staying with
fodder.
my lifetime date.
Okay. And you have little girls?
Yes, 2 beautiful girls. One just turned 9. The other is turning 11 in September. So we are happy. She says she needs a boy, so we are thinking about it.
Now
We're
we know.
thinking about
And
it.
number 3.
Yeah, we are thinking about it.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, it's not my thing. I keep telling people these days girls can inherit property. The law says so.
Yes,
So we
yes,
don't
indeed.
need this boy. And she says no.
I want my little man.
Well, I think somebody to spoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, the girls are grown now.
So, when it comes to your career, when you
Yes.
look back, do you have any regrets?
None, whatever. There's been some challenges along the way. Literally, you sell your private life forever. So you get used to it after a couple of years. So now that...
How do you manage to keep like that balance, to keep your professional life separate from your private life?
It's very hard. But I think if you're disciplined, if you're very disciplined, it becomes natural. I mean, I do what I want to do. I'm wearing shorts today. I mean, everyone thinks... I met someone on the
People
road.
think you wear suits 24/7.
To bed, too. So I met these guys on the road. You're very smart. I'm like, oh, because I'm in shorts. Yeah. So I think it's a balance. It's a tight balance. But if you're disciplined and you know your boundaries, I know what my job allows me to do. I know what my Mugisha wants to do and can do. So I try and have a balance in life. There's stuff I would probably have wanted to do. I'm not so sure if I would go the Bebe Cool way on top of the table and scream. I'm not so sure. But there's stuff like that I would probably want to do in public places. But I can't. I may want to scream at a waiter in a restaurant. I can't. So, thinking that sometimes when you do this job, it's like you've signed your lifetime will to serve the people. So it's just like our leaders. Unfortunately, some of them don't, toe the line. So you discover you will do certain things for the rest of your life. And one of them is that you will submit to the people. What they want, how they perceive you to be is who you're going to be for the rest of your life. And whether that then turns out to you being a role model or a mentor for several people, I mean, that's the add-on. That's the value add. And I'm hoping that whatever we do, those of us in these platforms, myself and yourself, can help some young girls and boys out there in school, at university, want to become us, but not through the other,
Avenues,
ways.
or easy ways to get
Yes,
attention.
easy ways to get the attention, which we've seen some very high-profile people here.
Yeah,
now.
sadly. So,
Sadly.
unfortunately, we have to wrap up our interview. Thank you so much for coming.
It was fun.
And joining me.
It was fun.